Alright fellas, welcome back to Enough Said. In this series, I look at random video essays and just bluntly tell you the answer to save your ass from hours of non-stop yapping. Anyway, let's get right into it. I don't know, maybe it's because we can't control when that happens. It'll happen someday. Because it's gotten overshadowed by more influential Rust Belt states and cities. Because Thailand is a lot more stable economically and government-wise than Myanmar is. Because since genders are typically half and half, there has to be male-dominated states somewhere. Because Georgia is apparently being too friendly to the West. Because for the most part, it's not really good for farming. Everyone lives on the East because it's great for farming, and they're trying to get away from Africa. I don't blame them. Because just about every city in the region, except Detroit, still do a lot of manufacturing. Because their economy collapsed, eventually leading to them to just voting to join Canada in 1948. Because any day, it could do the same thing Mount St. Helens did and decimate parts of Seattle. Because there isn't any economic opportunity up there, and most of it is uninhabitable swampland. As for the Panhandle, this was a boundary set by the Spanish and was ultimately kept when Florida got admitted. Because Ohio's location made it easy to get to, and it's pretty good land for farming. Because it's located in the Ring of Fire, making it vulnerable to earthquakes. Because of their resources, the source of most major rivers, and it would stop anyone trying to invade. Because the Dutch, unlike us, can magically expand their land. And for whatever reason, they put New Orleans in a bowl, so yeah. Because of the mountains. Because literally everywhere else is cheaper. Because people ended up moving to the cities after World War II, and also extreme weather. Because it's dry and bad land for farming. Because it's desert. Because they were too reliant on potatoes, and well, they never recovered from that. Because this region is where it all started, and it's had a lot more time to grow than other parts of the country. Because it's dry, bad land for farming, and the mountains. Because everyone is moving to Atlanta and nowhere else in Georgia. Because low fertility rates and everyone there is getting too old, except for Slovenia. Because the coal industry done killed Kentucky. Because it's dry and bad land for farming. Because the poorer they come, the more kids they have. Because there's lots of mountains. Because it's bad land for farming. Because it's horrible land for farming in the mountains. Because they don't like the conditions in Cuba, so they flee to Florida because that's the only place relatively close. Because of flooding and pollution, especially in the southern part. Because Colorado had a gold rush and Wyoming didn't. And people leaving rural areas for big cities. Because it's cold, and it's probably the worst land for farming imaginable. Because of some mountains, and have I not mentioned, people rather live in cities. Because pretty much the whole state north of Minneapolis is horrible for farming. Because it's horrible land for farming. Because it's horrible land for farming in the mountains. Because it's desert. Because of the harsh rainforest and climate. Finally, kind of a lengthy answer. Because long story short, some people built the city wherever they saw some bird on a cactus or whatever the fuck. And historically, it's been a very populated city because it was the capital of previous empires. As for the sinking, they built this on a lake bed with water reserves underneath, and the more they use that water, the more the ground sinks. Because it's dry. Because it's cold and horrible land for farming. Because it's cold and horrible land for farming. Because mountains. Because swamps. Alright, that's about enough of that. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, consider liking, maybe subscribing. You don't have to, but whatever. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace.